everybody, this is Jennifer with NorthwestStamper.com, and for today's video what we are going to talk about is some different ideas that you can use wheeled stamps for. If you've seen my prior video, I talked about the differences between your standard regular size wheel and your jumbo wheels and your builder wheels. So for today's ideas, I'm going to go ahead and use this cupcake regular wheel. Now, for the techniques we're going to talk about, you could use any of the sizes of wheels. This just happens to be what I felt like using today. So, just to review, when you're using your wheeled stamps, you have a couple different options of inking up your stamp. You can use an ink pad, and if you had an ink pad, you would open it up and you would take your wheeled stamp and you would just roll it along the wheel. You want to make sure that you don't go back and forth like this, because that will only ink up just a small portion of your wheel, but actually roll it along your ink pad. Or what I'm using today is I'm using the cartridges that fit right in here, so that you don't have to worry about inking. You know that you're always going to get a solid ink coverage as you're going along, whether you're going along a couple inches or whether you're going along a much larger distance. So when you're using a cartridge, you make sure it's popped down. You want to take out this little cover that keeps the ink moist and set it aside, and then make sure you pop this up. So when you have it stored, it's down, pop it up. I was doing some test runs for this and completely forgot to pop it up, and you'll see that your images get lighter and lighter and lighter as the cartridge is not touching your wheel. So when it's down, there's a gap. When it's up, it's touching the wheel. So a little friendly tidbit there. Okay, so then when you want to ink up make sure when you first pop the cartridge, you want to roll until you see a solid image of your stamp, and then you know you're ready to get stamping. Now, if you want your image to go across the entire piece of paper, you want to start off your paper and roll across. That'll make sure, because if you try to line it up where you're starting, you're probably going to miss by just a little. So you start off your paper, and if you are feeling not self-confident, you can use these Stampin' Up! Wheel guides to line up exactly where you want to go. But I'm going to just wing it today. We're just going to start here, roll, and then just roll across your paper. And so you see, by starting from before and going all the way across, you'll have exactly covering your image. So, and then when you're done, like with your ink pads, you want to close it up. So you pop it down and slide the lid in place. And then you can clean this off using your scrub pads. I'll sometimes just spray my mist straight onto the rubber and then roll just to get it all clean. You can also use a baby wipe. Sometimes that's helpful to get inside all the little pieces. But it's just like a regular rubber stamp when you want to clean it off. Okay, so now we have our image, and so now you go, okay, great, what do I want to do with that? Well, I'm going to show you a few different options from samples that I made to go with this card. So here's a birthday card I put together, planning to put your image here. So I could just glue that straight down, and that's totally cute enough. You could do that. But what if you wanted to do some other things? So one option you might do is you might want to just color in your paper. So instead of having it like this, you take your marker. So in this case I use pink pirouette I'll use pink pirouette on the cupcake frosting, maybe some Calypso coral, and just color it in, and then you could get something that looks like this. And then you can just glue that down, and oh, isn't that pretty? Just gives it a little bit more pop, a little bit more fun. And so with the wheeled stamp, you've been able to have all these different images. You know they're exactly placed, and you can just color in with whatever colors you want. Or we can do some other fun things. Okay, so we've done our basic piece. We've shown what it looks like with color. But what about some other different ideas? Well, one of the things that you could do is take your piece of paper, and we set it aside, and roll one more time on a piece of scratch paper. So this is what we're going to do, is we just want to get a few of these cupcake images, so it doesn't need to be particularly precise. So start off your paper, roll along, and this is why it's good if you're using scratch paper. If you mess up a little, that's okay, because what I really want is a little image like this. So what I can do with that image is now we're going to do what's called the spotlight technique. So you can take your punch, in this case it's the 1-inch punch for me, slide through, line it up, and you're just going to pop it out. Once you've done that, you've popped out that little piece that's going to go match up with here. You can color it in, add a little bit of a background piece, and then set it down where it lines up like there, and you've just done a little spotlight on one particular piece. Okay, so we've talked about the spotlight technique. We've talked about leaving it as it is. We've talked about coloring in all your images. So just a couple more little options that are sort of fun, and there are so many more than what I'm showing you today. But another thing is, like I said before, when you take your scratch paper and how we colored it in for the spotlight technique, well, instead of punching it out with your punch, you can take your scissors and just cut out a little piece, so you get something that looks like this. And it's a cute little piece, so you could just stick it on and have a fun little accent piece, or go real crazy and cut out multiple and have multiple accent pieces that you put on your card. So you get that dimension and the color that pops. You could take this extra piece and still put it on here just for fun, or leave it off and do something like some bling or some brads, or do something like that. So these are just a few different ways you can use your stamps that are wheeled to give you different looks. So multiple cutouts that are popped up, plain, colored, or the spotlight technique. So I hope you maybe found something new to try, and that you enjoyed this video. I hope to see you online again soon. Thanks so much.